something always leads to something else. So again, perhaps Brigitte, you can just say a little bit about some of the things that happened once you were back in Britain, both things that actually happened in a physical sense and maybe changes to the way in which you view things as well.
When I came back, straight after the UFO sighting and the tones, I'd really had enough of America. Just before, about 2 weeks before I really thought about leaving, I was involved in, I went to a party and I got beaten up by gang members. I went to help a friend of mine that was this bloke, bad move, that was involved in a fight, and I thought if a girl stands in, it would stop. I was pushed up against the car, beaten up and dragged to the side, and I just thought, with all of the experience that I've had out in America, I just want to go home. So when I returned home, I returned home such a different person, beaten and bruised. And I remember being around the dinner table with all my family, because I'd been away for, quite some time. And it's like I didn't know them. I mean, I'd just come back so differently, and I just, my parents would say, well, B, you just even look different and things. And at that point, I really wanted to track down the girl that was with me in the car. And I started about doing a private investigation course. So I trained for 3 years as a private investigator to try and track her down. And as I tried to track her down, it just got, her name wasn't actually her real name. And, the place where she said that she worked in London, I could track that down. But the security guards and the other people said, well, we remember vaguely. But, no one had a parent's number, a contact number, anything. So my PI skills weren't too great at this time. Then I tried to get in touch with someone. I thought, this sighting is just so profound. This is a UFO in broad daylight over Los Angeles, with military helicopters. Where on earth do I start? My always interest was ghosts and things. I'd never even sort of looked into all of this. So I wrote off to, I've got a magazine. Wrote off to a few people, and I'm sure we've all got sort of little stories to tell. No one got back to me. It's or I got the standard letter sent back. Thank you for your sighting and blah blah, and unfortunately blah blah. And I just thought, this is silly. And I contacted MUFON. I contacted all the American people as well. And MUFON, you would have thought Walt Andreas, my lad says name, put me in trouble now. He wasn't interested. And I just thought, it's I wanted to shake them all. For God's sake, what have you got to see? I thought that was amazing what I saw. And the only person here, I contacted also other American researchers in the Valley and Santa Barbara and everything, and no one was interested. Or it took them months to, get back. And at that point, I was so frustrated. I needed to find answers. I got put in touch with a guy called Ken Phillips. Ken Phillips, at that time, for me, at that point in my life, was so what I needed. Ken helped a hell of a lot of people. And if it wasn't for Ken, I wouldn't be sitting here now. Brings, sort of tear to my eye, because he just does, understand certain things about, and he has got the time to listen. And that's what it is about in all of this. I think it's about listening. And too many people just disregard you. And, I remember being at a UFO conference. I went because I needed to go now to UFO conferences. And that's where Nick came into it. And there he was, the man from the MOD. Frightened the life out of me, the title. Thinking, God, what's going to happen to me? The fact that I witnessed something so profound. I remember pestering him. You've got to do that. And in all the years that I've known him, he's got to know me a little bit better. Bless him. So.
Well, yeah. I think it is important to pay tribute to Ken Phillips, who sadly passed away a few years ago. Ironically, I think the morning of a UFO conference at which he was due to speak.
Wales, I think.
in Wales, yes. But certainly he was, I think, somebody who did an extraordinary amount of good in this subject. But then I think that there was, I'm having a look on the time front and things. We may have to skip a few things. But there was an American researcher, again, who you did a little bit of work with. Can you say something about that?
I got in touch with a lady called Dolores Cannon. She was coming over from America to England to do a TV documentary. And I spent the day with her under hypnosis. And around that time I was getting a lot of really bad headaches. And it was like blocking me with lots of things. I mean, I really wanted to shun all of these experiences to one side, especially the big encounter in Los Angeles. Under the hypnosis, I was seeing so many traumatic things that I just couldn't handle it, so I shut off. And that's why I was given the headaches, because it was more of like a frustration blocking off the subconscious, and it really wanted to come out. But then under the hypnosis, all I kept seeing was eyes. Now, typically, like, you've got the grey eyes, but these eyes were like different. They were really stagnant green eyes, and when I looked at them, they were watery and they were so sore looking that they made my eyes look sore. They just stung my eyes. And I remember then this being that was looking over me under the hypnosis, peeling off the lens and what I call slits for eyes, like the reptilian eyes. Can you have the next slide, please? Next one. Nope. Next one.
Next one, please.
So, I'm seeing first of all, I'm seeing the stagnant green eyes, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing these eyes, and I mean that put the frighten on me, pretty much, and I couldn't handle it anymore. So Dolores brought me out of the hypnosis. But it's always been, even when I was younger, it's always been eyes. So I mean, they scared me. I mean, it's like, I've had cats and everything, but they're nothing like anything they're big too. They're nothing like you'd see.
I think now, again, we're going to now fast forward to September 1998, when another of the real stars of this story entered the scene, because Brigitte and I decided that we had really taken things pretty much as far as we could take them with regards to the conscious recollection, and we wanted to really use regression hypnosis to fill in some of the gaps, and we went over to New York for 5 days, where Bud and Carol were kind enough to host us, and Bud Hopkins did 4 separate regression sessions on consecutive days, focusing in on particular areas of Brigitte's experiences. And now we're going to really backtrack in a way, time-wise, and say about some of the incidents that Brigitte has described, what she recalled consciously at the time, to see what emerged under hypnosis. But